One of the allures of going back and finishing the prequels was the fact I would get to do the Clone War. The style that I picked to tell them in is a style of a 1930s, Saturday matinee serial. So the acting style, the sets, everything in these are sort of done in the 30s, in the genre of movies in the 1930s. And this one, it gets a little film noir. We have a little bit of a, mystery and that sort of thing. But it's all done in that sort of era. The kind of movies that I make, which are very action-oriented, very complex visually, I really couldn't do it without some kind of pre-visualization process.
When George first writes the script, he has in his mind what the movie's going to look like. When he goes to shoot it, it's remarkable to watch him shoot because he shoots like no other director I've ever seen. He's going and getting elements. He's not getting a finished scene.
You pick up pieces of shots rather than shots as a whole, and then you construct the shot later. You're able to collect bits and pieces that go into the images separately, sometimes a year apart, and just stick them in. It's a very different way of approaching the medium. It's a way of making movies where you don't do one process and then go on to the next process. It's like you do a little of this, a little of that. It's more like cooking, and it's more like painting. You paint, you move it around, you kind of thing, you paint a little bit more. You can actually create it and make it be just right, the way you want it in your mind's eye.
The speeder chase started with a one-page summary that George had typed up, so I had the basic gist of who was there and what was going on.
In order to start the process, we would take images that had an object moving across the screen right to left, up, down, going away from us, and that would show you the motion of what was happening. Ben and the assistant editors would go out into a barn with a little blue screen, and they would shoot various characters, flying around in the cars.
If you'd spend as much time working on your saber skills as you do on your wit, young Padawan, you'd rival Master Yoda as a swordsman.
I thought I already did.
A sequence like the speeder chase, you really can't do it without animatics. You really need to develop videomatics to kind of tell you editorially where you're going and how long the shots are going to be and whether it's working, because it's a purely kinetic thing.
Then he cuts it together, he shows it to George, George makes his changes. As those discussions progress over a number of days, we shoot it, and then George takes it and bends it and molds it.
And it gives you something to then sit down with the Videomatic guys and tell them kind of what you have in mind. And you can say, well, this is right, but this is going too fast, or move it up, move it down. And then we'd take that and we'd blow it up, move it around, cut it out, change it around, and then give it back to the animatic department. They would then make a finer representation of that until we got the shots the way we wanted them.
We take that film, we bring it on the set, and we're able to put huge plasma screens in front of the speeder so the actors can actually watch. They can understand and interact with what's going on.
Which I think helped a lot, because otherwise you'd be directing a scene like that by yelling through a bullhorn.
It's easier just to show them the film, and they react to it as if they were in it.
Streaming our favorite shows, keeping in touch with our loved ones, and even our banking is mostly done online these days. We'd like to think our information is safe, but as our online footprint increases, so does our need for proper security. Surfshark adds an extra layer of security when you're online to keep all of your passwords, photos, and videos safe. There's a lot of websites and hackers that take your info without you even knowing it, but you can swim under their radar using Surfshark VPN, a virtual private network. Surfshark is a VPN service that protects your information by encrypting all of the data that you send through the internet. You can stop websites from tracking your info and selling targeted ads to you. With the click of a button, you can forget about data mining and intrusive advertisements. One of my favorite features of Surfshark is that you can see content not available in your area. Disney Plus or Netflix, for example, have different movies for each country. Access should not be tied to a region. In China, YouTube and most social media websites are banned. With Surfshark, you can solve the problem by simply changing your location. Just connect to the service and refresh the page. Surfshark is an app and browser extension that enables you to place your laptop or phone anywhere in the world and allows you to access the internet as if you were in that country. You can watch any content anywhere in the world on any of your devices. Surfshark turns you into an anonymous and hard-to-trace online user and makes the internet a safer and more enjoyable place for you. I use Surfshark every day. It automatically starts up whenever I start my PC, and whenever I need it, I activate it with just one click. Surfshark is the only VPN to offer one account to use on an unlimited number of devices. If you want both protection and freedom online, use my code NMSW, short for Not My Star Wars, to get 83% off plus 3 extra months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out for yourself. The link is in the description below.
The kinetic energy of the movie had picked up to the point where we were starting to get some momentum, and to stop and have dialogue at that point just didn't work. And the Droid Factory had lots of potential for an exciting sequence. First, what I did is I did some storyboards with a storyboard artist, and I put them out, and I told him the ideas of what I wanted to happen.
How does George want to frame the character? Is it a close-up or a wide shot of the space?
He'll say, I want a close-up of Padme here. I want a shot that includes this robot arm threatening Anakin.
We had a blue screen stage and a blue conveyor belt, and that was it. We shot the whole sequence in 4.5 hours with both Natalie and Hayden. We did it before lunch.
And then came back and cut that and gave it to the animatic guys. I'm very keen on using color as a main element in telling the story. The animatic process and the term of making the movie got to be very sophisticated. And one of the best examples is the Droid Factory. When you see it in blue screen, it's pretty boring and silly, you don't know what's going on. But once you get those giant stamping machines and stuff cut in there, it's very powerful. And so in that particular case, the Videomatic department made a huge difference in our ability to visualize and follow the drama of the whole sequence. The Videomatic department has become so sophisticated that you're getting almost completed shots. You know, ILM will go in and clean them up and finish them off and add the detail and make them show up so they work on a giant screen.
We're doing a lot of the paintings digitally, and it's really about creating a synthesis of painting to the camera arts to, modern filmmaking.
The Clone War, basically, we bypassed storyboards altogether and went straight into animatics.
It was a huge sequence. In the movie, it has literally thousands of characters. Droids, clones, troops, ships.
Basically, we got a page that said, and all hell breaks loose.
Fans have been wondering, what's that going to look like?
When I said, look, I just want some great battle shots. So I let them sort of have their own way with some of those shots, just come up with some great shots, and I'd use them. So that really inspired them. They put a lot of time and effort and creativity into it and came up with some amazingly complicated and interesting shots. We took those, started cutting them in, made some modifications. Some of them we couldn't use, some of them we could, and then we started to build other shots around those shots and to build it into a full and complete sequence. I push people a little bit farther than I think they can actually go, and then they always surprise me by getting there.
He's always trying to take things a little bit further, and that in turn makes us want to kick it up a notch, and it's kind of a brutal cycle, actually, because we are constantly trying to outdo ourselves, and George gets used to that, and so we've got to up it a notch every few months.
And then I say, well, gee, this is great. If they can get there, then I'm going to push them a little bit further and see if they can get there. Sometimes they don't make it, but almost always they do. I'm constrained by my own perception of what they can accomplish. And I've learned, especially in the digital world, that I can actually push them a lot further than I think. And it opens up my creative process, because I go, well, what if we have him do this? Very rarely do I not get what I want. There are a few times when we all sit down and give up and say, this is too far, too fast. But they know that eventually I'll come back to it on the next film.
There's 200 Jedi Knights who flooded into the arena fighting on the arena ground. To create that scene, we're filming each Jedi one at a time with 2 different cameras, so we can actually take the part of that fight that we like, and then we can actually composite them all together in one big fight where there'll be 100 of them all together in one shot.
So here we go.
Here we go.
300-something shots to do.
A whole reel. I can now key out the blue and then see what our characters look like when I'm first lining up the shot, so that as we pan or tilt or slide across the background, it's going to match exactly what the characters are doing. We found that it would be faster if we just split the entire arena in half and then have one crew doing the opposite direction of the other crew. And that way we can get more stuff into post faster and get those shots coming out.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the Force be with you.
Impressive. Most impressive.